regularly scheduled meeting of the Transportation Licensing Commission. I'd like to start today with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll start today with the appeals process. The appeal of decision from the Metropolitan Transportation Licensing Commission pursuant to the provisions of Section 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws. Notice is hereby given that if you are not satisfied with the decision made by the Metropolitan Transportation Licensing Commission, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the entry of the Metropolitan Transportation Licensing Commission's decision. We advise that you seek your own independent legal advice to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met. We are going to move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the public comment period for matters germane to items on today's agenda pursuant to TCA 844-112. We've only had two folks sign up. We'll start with Mr. Winters. And can you remember to turn your microphone on today? Thank you.
All good. Set my own timer so I don't do something bad here. I'll try to keep this short and sweet. I know we're going to talk about the sightseeing bill today, and it's probably a very beginning conversation. There's lots of other conversations to come. But I want to give you a couple pieces to chew on as we look at that I see as some obstacles that we have to figure out as we chew on this. Currently, I have sightseeing permits that allow me to operate from 4 to 6 outside of the core. There's no verbiage in this agreement that talks about what happens to those 4 to 6 operations outside of the core. I think that becomes an issue because if I take these new permits and move over to the new permits, if my 4 to 6 operations as I currently run is taken away, then I will not surrender my permits. Under state law, I do not have to. So I think we have to find how we take some of these current things that are approved and how we move them into the new sightseeing bill, because if you change my operation or the revenue I generate from it, I do not have to accept these new permits under state law. So it's one thing to look at. Secondarily, the 4 to 6, I do have an issue with the 4 to 6 downtown core thing, meaning everyone getting a traffic study to go with the flow of traffic and all the other fun stuff they're going to look at. I think there's challenges there. Because how does that affect the small operator? You've got a guy with one van. Is he really going to spend $20,000 to operate in the core as compared to a larger company? I think you're carving out the little man and making a little bit of a pay to play there. My secondary comment is if one 40-foot bus passes, how is another 40-foot bus any different? When the city did their own study and said golf carts could operate from 4 to 6, that was all golf carts, not one independent company. It was all carts. So I think we have to look at the fairness of how we do that traffic study as well. Vehicle stands. There's a conversation in there about sightseeing vehicles having stands to operate from. I think you're going to have some heartache from some of the operators that operate large 40-foot vehicles that are ETVs, like a bus as an example. Constitutionally, I think if you offer one company the ability to use a publicly funded stand, you have to offer that to everyone that operates the same size and style of vehicle, no matter what they do in the vehicle. And flow of traffic, to be very blunt, I don't know if there's a sightseeing company in Nashville that's going to go with the flow of traffic. I don't think you're ever going to pass the Ryman at 45 miles an hour and say, there's the Ryman. I think that's just the reality of something to consider as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today. Mr. Weaver. Very, very nice.
Did we get that first gentleman's first name?
Michael Winters.
Michael.
Yes. I apologize. I did not introduce myself. Next, approval of minutes from previous meeting. That everybody had a chance to look. It sounds like it. Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Items for deferral.
Yes, Mr. Chair. First of all, there was an item that's not on the agenda, and I wanted to explain to the commission why. Last month, we asked for some taxi fees to be looked at. Between now and then, we found out that the council is doing a fee study. So it's coming up on second reading, I think, in the next meeting. So we pulled that off the agenda to see what that fee study was going to say, what it was going to do. We didn't want to move forward until we had a look at that study coming out. So that's why that is not on your agenda. Second item up for a deferral is emergency record and towing services review investigation. All parties have agreed to defer that until December if the commission so lets us do so. It just gives us more time. We're not through looking at everything we needed to look through, and legal needs some more time, I think, as well as their legal side too.
Does that need a vote?
Yes, sir. It needs a vote for not the first one, but the deferral for the second one. Yes, sir. Bless you.
And we can look to defer that when it comes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Consent items.
Well, we need a motion, and we need a motion to defer and then a vote.
Would we take a motion to defer when it comes up on our agenda in the
You can
regular?
do it. You can
Yeah.
do it now.
I can do it now.
I make a motion to defer the record discussion. Is that, or is there some specific topic you want me to say?
See page 2 of the agenda.
Page 2.
So that
Thank you.
includes the investigation as well as the new zone application. Both of those would be
It's
deferred.
both the,
Emergency record and towing.
both items under the emergency record and towing services? Okay. Make a motion to defer the review investigation of Dad's Towing Services / West Nashville Wrecker Service and the new zone application from STR Towing and Recovery LLC to the December meeting.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Items on the consent agenda.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Just real quick, when we put items on the consent agenda, it's for the reason that they do not have to have a certificate of convenience or necessity. So when we bring things before you for your consideration, their paperwork's been done. They have met all your rules, all Metro ordinance rules that allows them to file to come before you. So that's the difference, and that's why it goes on consent. Just wanted to say that before we started.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda? Is there a motion?
Who wants to read it? I'll read it. Make a motion to approve the other passenger vehicles for hire new company applications for Nashville 24 LLC, Aziza Royal Suburban, JM Executive Transport LLC, Verazku LLC, probably butchered that one, Nashville Dive Bar Shuttle LLC, Totally, Ride on Black, and Nasib Luxury Limo.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
What is, oh, never mind.
And I guess we could continue through all of them if you want. Is that right? We need to take each.
Well, I have some discussion around a couple.
Probably
of them.
need to take each
All right, so
category
there's some discussion.
separately.
So my motion is just on the new company applications for OPVH.
Yes. And there's a second, properly seconded. Is there any discussion on the new applications, new company applications?
Not for me.
No? Seeing as there's no discussion, can we have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the OPVH existing company reapplication after failure to timely renew?
Application's in order. They did not file on time, so they reapplied. They have to pay the original fee, not the renewal fee. So all their paperwork's in order.
How much is the original fee?
Hold on. I got like numbers going all through my head right now. Amanda's going to tell us.
200 for the company and 35 per vehicle. Thank you,
Thank you.
Amanda.
I'll make a motion to approve the OPVH existing company reapplication for Kyrillos Nairuz?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion regarding the OPVH request to change address?
Again, Chair, anytime there's an application change, it has to
Yep.
come before the commission.
Yep.
I move to approve the OPVH request to change address for Ricky Duke to 4,000 Hillsborough Pike, apartment 13.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I can have a motion regarding the OPVH request to change name.
I'll make a motion to approve the OPVH request to change name from Levine Industry to Levine Transportation LLC. Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Does this include any change of ownership? Or is this only the name change?
This is only the name change that this was no ownership change.
Thank you.
Yes.
Staff, prior to the meeting, tried to work with me so I could understand a little better, but I just wanted to say with the ownership questions, I'm having difficulty understanding when you go from an individual to an LLC, why that is not a change in structure. That it's not, in my mind, it's not just a name.
Was it an LLC before?
It was not previously an LLC. When something appears on your agenda for a modification of ownership, they've come to our office and added or removed a partner. So in this case, no individuals that we would need to background check to see if they qualify to own a company before the TLC needed to be checked. The owner just chose to avail himself to the protections of an LLC, added the LLC, so it doesn't fall into the category of the modification of ownership form and background checking policy that we have for adding partners.
I'd be a little curious there. So Levine Industry doesn't sound like it's a name, and it wasn't a corporation, and it wasn't a limited liability corporation. What was it?
His personal liability. Yeah. He had a business
Right,
of
so,
Davidson
but would
County
it have been
business
somebody's name, DBA Levine Industry? Who is it? How would we have approved a company that doesn't exist?
Didn't you have an individual application based without a company formation?
Who would own the insurance? If Levine Industry is who holds the license?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Nowhere in the Metro Code or in the TLC rules does it require a company to incorporate. So a sole proprietor can open an OPVH company calling themselves Levine Industry. The vehicle registration in the personal name of the individual, and if they don't choose to open an LLC at that time, the rules don't require it.
I think what's throwing you all off is that it's Levine Industry, not Levine Smith, unless Industry is this person's last name. So they is that right? So how do they apply for insurance in the name of a company that doesn't exist?
Who was the license name under?
The Davidson County business license document that I was just handed previously was in the name Levine Industry and now is under Levine Transportation LLC. This would have been in your packet as well. They did not have an LLC when they were approved by the TLC. Now they are adding one, so changing the name. And again, the TLC rule doesn't require an LLC in order to get an OPVH company permit.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So if an entity decided to become a corporation and all the initial shareholders are the same persons, would we also treat that just as a name change?
We'll let legal take a swing at that.
I don't think it's necessarily a name change. It might need to be a request to modify ownership, maybe more so it fits into that category.
So again, our request to modify ownership process is when a partner is added or removed for the part of the Metro Code that requires us to background check every owner. There was no one new to background check. The owner didn't change. The sole proprietor chose to avail themselves to the protections of an LLC. We didn't list it on this agenda as a modification of ownership because no new owner came on. They changed their name and they added an LLC, but the LLC is not required. So that paperwork was not filled out. No owner was added. They added an LLC.
I guess in my mind, I understand what you're saying, that it's not required that an entity become an LLC, but as we have, being the newbie on the, or one of the two newbies on the board, it's been hard for me to get my mind around the concerns that have been raised, such as the matter we just deferred, when we're looking at what causes us to have someone come before them and what particular issues are we to focus on, and then what sections of the ordinance, the rules, the regulations that we need our decision-making to be bound by. So I apologize for taking time at this point, but I just wanted to express that I will not be voting on this item just because I'm still not comfortable with how we're supposed to make decisions, but that's just me.
Just a question, TD. So, the package that you have shows, what does it show relative to Levine Industry?
We're looking right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's got maybe a different package. In the application, it says that the company name is Levine Industry, but Levine Industry is not incorporated. It's not a company.
Simply the name that they chose
Right.
when applying.
And Zindan Hussein was the applicant previously?
Owner, driver, applicant, one vehicle, OPVH company.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to clarify, I have nothing against this particular entity. It's just I'm having trouble understanding the issues.
I'll make a motion to approve the OPVH request to change name from Levine Industry to Levine Transportation LLC.
Any additional discussion?
Based on TD's assertion that it's the same owner, driver. There are no material changes to the company structure.
Seems like an improvement of circumstance.
For sure.
So I'm in favor of it also.
If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And one abstention, and I'm going to abstain. Is that enough? 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't get a vote, so it doesn't matter. There's no tiebreaker. Can I have a motion relative to the OPVH request to modify ownership?
So these I don't take super lightly. I know there needs to be a motion first, but
I'll make a motion for purposes of discussion, at least. That we approve the request to modify ownership of Orchid Luxury Transportation and Merrill Company LLC.
Is there a second?
I'll second for purposes of discussion.
Discussion.
I think I'm a broken record here, but I generally don't like these requests to modify ownership. It's a way to transfer permits without having to go through the regular process. Can you tell us anything about Orchid Luxury Transportation or Merrill Company LLC, please?
All we can tell you is the paperwork that's required from them by Metro ordinance and your rule It's completed, it's right, it's everything that they need to do to add a partner, as far as what we regulate, has been done correctly, so that's why it's before you.
Is anyone from Orchid or Merrill Company here today?
Do we have, I see we've got, is it a,
Chair, you're kind of, I think if you have things you want to move off the consent agenda, you might need to do that because you're kind of getting away from the idea of consent.
fair?
I will withdraw my motion and make another motion that we remove these two items off of the consent calendar for further discussion.
Second.
Do you also just, that's all consent. So you've also got seated sightseeing vehicle ordinance on consent, shared urban mobility devices on consent, other business, and then application, all this is.
No, sir, no, sir, no, sir.
No, those are under-
We'll be done with the
They'll be
consent
done.
agenda after
There it
Hell
is.
on Wheels.
Yep, 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 yep. I
I'll-
see the little squares now.
I'll also add to my motion, since I haven't gotten a second yet, the entertainment transportation request for Hell on Wheels as well, because I think they fall under the same discussion category.
That is
For
correct.
purposes of discussion and to move off consent.
So we've had a motion and a second to move, there's probably seconded to move the OPVH request to modify ownership and, for Orchid Luxury Transportation and Morale Company LLC to add a partner, and then to move also the entertainment transportation request to modify ownership, for Hell on Wheels to add a partner, Michael Winters, off the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I was going to clarify, if we needed for the record, I withdraw my second on the very original motion for discussion.
Do we need that?
Just if you need it, if not, throw it away.
And then that motion was withdrawn by Commissioner
Right.
Penley. Yeah, got it.
Sorry.
So we've had a motion, properly seconded. Any more discussion to remove these two items? Seeing there's no more additional discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay, the motion passes. So, now, we can consider the OPVH request to modify ownership, now that it's off the consent agenda, with motion.
I'll make a motion that I'll make a motion to approve the request to modify ownership for Orchid Luxury Transportation, Merrill Company LLC for purposes of discussion.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
I'm an aye.
You're abstaining from
Well,
discussion?
Oh, from discussing? No, not from discussing.
Yeah, really, you're abstaining from pulling this off the consent agenda.
Oh,
No, you're
I thought
voting.
we already.
Well, we did.
We already voted for
So
that.
we voted for that. So now we're, yes, now we're voting for, and we're discussing, sorry.
Yep.
Yep. All right, so, discussion regarding,
I think we've asked legal for this in the past, and just refresh my memory on how this works from your point of view. I think the commission in the past has wanted to not allow the transferring of permits through this process. And we have seen in the past that this is the methodology used to transfer permits. Can you tell us anything about what jurisdiction we have over disallowing permit transfers through ownership changes?
Well, for the OPVHs and I see Hell on Wheels is an ET. Those are two different standards. So the entertainment transportation vehicles, you're going to have a change in control provision that you can look at and see if it falls under that change in control. For OPVHs, I think you would look at 67480, which says that no certificate may be sold, assigned, mortgaged, or otherwise transferred, nor may there be any modification of ownership as to stock transfer, new or additional partners, etc., by a holder of a certificate without the consent of the MTLC, which shall not be unreasonably withheld. It goes on to say, an application for a transfer shall be filed with the MTLC director upon the payment of a non-refundable fee in an amount to be established by the MTLC based upon the cost of processing the application and of the administration and enforcement of this part. And if you drop down to C, under there it says if the applicant meets the requirements for a certificate, the application may be approved. Maybe. But it also says above,
Not reasonable, unreasonable.
you,
Do you
You
know
can't-
why they're adding partners in the OBVH category?
Under the OPVH category, it's pretty standard. Usually one person will open an OPVH company with one black SUV. They'll decide they want to move to two, so a friend or someone that they know want to bring on as a business partner will come with their SUV titled in their name, and then they're left with two choices, either to partner or to put the vehicle in the name of the other owner of the company. And typically, they choose to go this route, adding a partner to the LLC, to the certificate, and then able to keep the name of the vehicle in their personal name rather than switching that vehicle over into the name of the LLC or the other partner. That's typically what we see under OPVH.
Is Orchid Luxury Transportation an LLC? This is a similar question to the last item. And are there articles of incorporation? Are there partnership documents that would show ownership percentages and that it's not an effective transfer of control of the entity? What did they submit to you guys before you placed this on the consent agenda?
They go ahead, TD, if you got it pulled up.
No LLC for this particular company. What your rules and the Metro Code require us to do when there is a change of ownership or any change to the original certificate of public convenience that's issued, that could be a change of address, a change of name, a change of partners. They are required to submit the modification of ownership form to us. We are required to background check the new partner to see if they qualify to be an owner of a company at the TLC.
But it's not a company. I guess my question is, or my concern is, it's not a company. I mean, a company has a very specific definition under the law. It's
An entity,
it's
a
not a
business.
corporation. It's not a company. I'm trying to figure out how. Like, if the application is to request to modify ownership, is a partner. We may have been doing it for years, but I've got a problem with it. And I can't vote, but we've asked this question. It's come up with the tow companies. It's come up with ETV companies. I don't think it's legal if you don't have a company. And maybe there's precedent for it, but if they're requesting to add a partner typically would be under something that's incorporated somehow. And that there's a partnership agreement, a limited partnership, a general partnership, a corporation, a subchapter S corporation. I don't know how you have a partnership if there's not something that's incorporated.
So it sounds like, based on previous, like, we've allowed this in the past, and there are no rules that state that we need to have it be a company, as TD said. But I'm wondering with legal, is that something that we could require in the future?
are you asking if the TLC could require that anybody that permits with you be incorporated and not just be a sole proprietorship?
A sole proprietorship is a sole person.
Yes.
And this is a partner. A partner indicates two people, which is no longer a sole proprietorship.
Mm-hmm.
It effectuates something where there needs to be some sort of paperwork that says what's happening within the partnership, because there's a partnership agreement
Yes.
that we can't check. I mean, he could be transferring 99% of this to somebody else. And I don't know if it's as big of a deal for the OPVH, but relative to precedent, there are questions that are out there that you guys have been working on relative to tow trucks, and it's been coming up for more than a year with ETVs and people trying to sell ETV licenses.
Yeah, and I think we gave you a memo in July about the ETVs, and we can resend that if you would like. So I guess your question is, how are they adding a partner if there isn't a partnership?
Bingo. And I think also is that the application originally, if you don't have to be a company, well, why is it not John Smith or
Doing business as.
doing business as or something, as opposed to a name that would make a consumer, make it hard for them to track somebody down for liability purposes if something happened. Like, who is Orchid Luxury Transportation? I guess they would have whoever signed the application. But it is a little bit of a, you get the cover if you do the paperwork properly and get the LLC or some other, if you file what you need to with the Secretary of State to create that. But if you don't and you're using some other name, I think that maybe is part of the concern. I don't personally have an issue here because we don't have a limit on how many of these licenses there can be. I see this as not being a real problem, but I totally, that's just my own personal view with respect to the OPVHs, because there's not a limited amount. I mean, I don't see why you need to add partners to somehow get around.
But for
limit.
standardization and precedent.
Sure, yes, I
That
understand.
that would make sense.
So,
I would like to agree with the commissioner, very much.
The only thing I can add is the Davidson County business license, minimal activity business license that's being issued is being issued in these names that they bring to us. Whether or not they have an LLC, that's the business license they're bringing to us.
Do you know who runs these companies? Are you familiar with the current owners of these two?
Yes, ma'am, we would know who applied, absolutely, yes.
Okay. And is there do you know if they were, well, this is on consent, so they would not have thought to come here today.
Right, correct.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still curious about if this is if the intention here is to transfer a permit.
Well, I
And
think,
like you said, if there's an LLC, I mean, if there's more than one person, it needs to be an LLC, which,
or some other, it could be a partnership.
or a partnership,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
How many vehicles are currently under Orchid Luxury Transportation today? How many partners?
I'm not sure, TD.
Do we know how many partners this company currently has? So it's a sole proprietor. Yeah.
It was a sole single, and they're adding a second vehicle. On both? On both, yes. Going from 1 to 2 on both.
And I'd like to defer it, honestly, and have them come here.
Are you making a motion?
I'm just
okay
talking to
with it.
myself.
Yeah.
I would remind the commission that under 67480 in this instance, you can't unreasonably withhold it, so you need to come up with a reason to not do this. But I think that maybe in the future, something for the commission to look at is if you want to establish a rule about what the application process looks like, because I think that we're kind of running into a situation where you have a lot of questions that we don't necessarily have the answers to, and that probably needs to be a rule change or a rule made to break down for this is required in this instance, this is what's required here, and to give guidance to the people working at the TLC for what you would like in these applications. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question? What you talked about is a reason has to be unreasonable. That's in code, right?
Yeah, it's in the code. It
It's in
says
the code,
it's
and we can't change that.
which shall not be unreasonably withheld. So,
Well, reasonable is kind of up for interpretation, right?
yeah, I mean, there's probably case law on what would be. I think if you had a reason, like say that whoever this Mr. Sarash is, like if he was a convicted felon for kidnapping or something, sure. But I'm not sure that you're meeting that standard because you just have icky feelings about the process in general.
For the record, we also background check Mr. Siraj, so we know he's not a kidnapping felon.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, it's not icky feelings. I don't, it's really cut and dry. Like, there's not a partnership agreement, so I don't know how we can legally add a partner to a company that isn't incorporated.
That's fair, and I think there is Tennessee case law that says even if absent a partnership agreement, if you proceed as a partnership, you are considered a partnership per the law, and then the rules revert to the Partnership Act of Tennessee, whatever that's called. It's probably the Uniform Partnership
Yeah.
Act of Tennessee or whatever.
Tennessee Revised Uniform Partnership Act.
Yes.
That's probably what I'm looking for.
Yes.
Better understand.
Yes.
And that maybe
So
was in the July memo and.
that was for ETVs, which is different because you have a change in control provision that you can look to that I think gives you a little more guidance. But I think that there's, so you can have a partnership under Tennessee state law without a partnership agreement. Say that me and Mr. Rooker decided that we wanted to sell candy on the street and we did it for a profit together and we split the profits and we did all the things. Under the case law, we would still be considered a partnership absent the absent an agreement that's written down. The courts would still consider us a partnership. So Mr. Rooker couldn't take off one day and say, no, I'm keeping 100% of this candy bar money.
I mean, I understand that OPVH and ETs are separate, but I think the general question or concern is what rule change could we make to prevent transfer of ownership through, to prevent transfer of permits through modifying ownership?
And focusing on why do we need to be involved in that process. We have that which has been given to us by council, and to the extent there's discretion, then we need to decide what are those things that are important. As I heard in the case of OPV, that we don't have a set number.
Right.
And we're not looking at it, but I agree.
The general concern we've had,
Yeah, I do think it's important for us to, if we have differences in the decision-making, to understand why we treat them differently and making sure it's consistent with what we are entrusted with or what we're directed to be looking out for our community.
yeah, I mean, it's just been a loophole.
Yeah.
For a long time.
To your question, I think you would need a code change because this is laid out in the code.
Is it Metro Code?
Metro Code, Muni Code, 6.74.080 for OPVHs.
Could you repeat that?
6.74.080.
Thank you.
I'd like to renew my motion.
Call the question.
Call the
Call the
question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion passes.
Was that to, excuse me, was the call the question, was the vote on calling the question or to modify ownership?
We have to vote again to approve the change of ownership for Orchid Luxury Transportation to add partner Mohammed Sharoush.
And Merrill Company
And,
LC.
yeah, unless there's separate discussion. No?
My original
No.
motion was to both.
Okay, both.
So
So,
just,
is there a motion?
just say the,
And then
just say
renew.
the name of the other company.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the OPVH modify ownership request of Orchid Luxury Transportation, add partners Share Mohammed Sarouche, and Merrill Company LC to add partner Felix Jr. De La Rosa Baloney.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Now,
Now, fun.
So just for the purposes of the next bullet point here, can you tell us how OPVH and ET are different per Metro Code?
Give me a minute, I gotta find it.
Thanks.
yeah, okay. Yeah. If you will, can TD put up on the screen 6.77.02? Oh, you do have it up, TD. Look at him. He's a mind reader. Okay, so it's under required in term. And if you'll look at C, section C, it says no certificate issued pursuant to this chapter may be assigned, transferred, sold, or given from one person or entity to another without the express written approval of the MTLC upon the filing of an application for such a transfer. For the purpose of this chapter, a transfer includes a change in control of the certificate holder. Now, if you'll go up, you'll see under definitions 010, there is a change in control definition. Change in control shall mean either Romanet I, a change in ownership such that 50% or more of the direct or indirect voting or economic interest in such permittee is transferred to a transferee, or a change in the power to direct or cause the direction of management and policy of the permittee is transferred to a transferee. For the purposes of this definition, permittee means the holder certificate or permit issued pursuant to this chapter, and transferee means a person, entity, or group of people or entities acting in concert.
Thank you. Is Mr. Lyon here today? Would you come up to the... I just want to talk to him first.
Mr. Lyon, can you make sure? Yeah, you did it. Good. Thank you. Green button.
So you're the owner of Hell on Wheels?
I am.
Okay. And are there any other owners currently of Hell on Wheels?
There are not.
So you have 100%
I do.
ownership. And based on Metro Code, anything over 50% would require a new application instead of a request to modify ownership. Can you share what the adding partner Michael Winters will do to the ownership structure?
Definitely won't change the control. It's not above 50%. So.
What is the percent?
10%.
10%.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's only Michael and no one else?
Correct.
What is the reason that you're adding Michael?
I currently do my pickups at the Green Light in the Gulch, and it's just overly crowded. There's a couple of other party buses that pick up there, and it's just kind of a mess. It was mutually beneficial before, because my folks would go in and buy drinks from the bar or food and bev, and then it was just a free spot for me to pick up and all that. But it's just become kind of it's just a lot happening, and so picking up or just the added benefit and synergy of utilizing.
Sure. So in practical terms, what will adding this partner do for your company?
It will streamline the pickup.
How?
Check-in, because
Does he own property that you'll be using for pickup?
I'm sorry.
Are you implying that he has property that can be used, you can go to for pickup?
Correct.
So he's not going to be a driver or anything, he's just
No, so
providing
where I
property?
store the trucks, keep the trucks, all of that they'll stay there. I'm simply just gonna, utilize his pickup location.
And his
for the
pickup
trucks.
location is private. It's not.
Correct.
So you're giving him 10% of the company in exchange for a reliable pickup spot.
Yeah, and there'll be, I'm sure, other benefits of marketing, advantages and, access to his marketing team and just things to continue help Hell on Wheels grow.
Are there?
I've been doing all this, literally every facet of the business I've been doing myself up to this point. I still drive, the trucks.
I know how that goes. I sometimes have to
I've
drive the boat.
bootstrapped this
Sure.
whole thing, and so Mike is obviously a pretty established, successful person in the industry. So I've kind of gotten it as far as I can get it myself, doing everything myself, and so I think I've just kind of plateaued. So if I'm going to continue to grow and start the business, it just makes sense to bring on somebody that's more experienced and successful than myself.
How many vehicles do you currently have permitted?
I have 2 ETVs and 1 sightseeing.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I apologize. What business is he with? Or
So
what
my
is he-
business is Hell on Wheels. We utilize big military troop transport trucks. We're missional. A portion of all proceeds goes to help wounded veterans. So we call it partying with a purpose. So we do a ton of missional work with Folds of Honor, Homes for Our Troops, and just try to give back and do good while leveraging people that are coming to the city to have a good time. So might as well.
I was not
Do some
sure
good
of
with that.
Mr. Winters.
Oh, he has the Nashville tractor.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any intention to sell the company to Mr. Winters?
There's not. No.
And in this instance, that's not what's occurring with this specific, well, I guess if
Modified
the ownership, if the ownership percentage changes at some later point, will we know about that after today? No.
I think that if they changed it such that it would meet to the definitions of change in control, or if it was a whole, where it talks about assignment, transfer, or sale, or given from one person, then it would have to come before you. But I think that the question that it seems like this isn't it doesn't sound like he sold it.
Yeah.
So maybe the
10% sale.
but I think you would look to, that's a good question. Okay. What is a sale? But I think that there's also some questions that you could answer by focusing on the change in control definition, because that kind of gives you a line, some questions that need to be answered.
I mean, is there anything in the rules that state they have to come before us if it becomes a 50% plus ownership?
That's what.
I think that's covered in the ordinance.
That was basically my question that she had just referred to, that you indicated that they would have to come back if there was something that.
And maybe
arose.
we could just promote that more to our licensees so that they understand that is our current position on the ordinance.
But there's nothing we can do to, there's no way for us to regulate that, right? Unless good faith they come and say, hey, now it's 50%. But they are not motivated to do that because then they'd have to do a new application.
I think the distinction I would make in the discussion I'm hearing is, would we know, and perhaps not if we're not told, but is it their responsibility to tell us when there's a change to the original certificate? Yes. And are there consequences when companies don't? Yes.
Can I add something in here real
Go
quick?
ahead.
Guys, I totally get the dynamic here. I totally get it. There's been some bad actors that have done some sketchy stuff, squirrely stuff, try to play games. This is not some Trojan horse maneuver. I'm not trying to do anything. Hell on Wheels is my baby. This is how I provide for my family. My wife's pregnant, 14 weeks pregnant with our second little baby boy.
Congrats.
So I'm not, there's no, and I'm a rule follower to a T. I'm by the book. So out of sheer fear that there was some word and if but comment in there, I would absolutely get the commission's approval if I was to ever, want to sell or change or do any of that. I mean, I'm paranoid to a T of every time I step in this room, the fear of God is upon me. Okay, so I'm not gonna mess with y'all. I promise. I don't want to poke the bear on this one. I truly, sincerely, just I've brought it as far as I survived COVID. That took every ounce of my being. I survived the great purge of 2023 or whenever it was. All I want to do is follow the rules and be a small business owner that is successful in a city that's continuing to grow and be a good actor. I never want to be anything other than the gold standard of what an ETV could be. That's what I've tried to be. Before even there was regulations, the news outlets were interviewing me and I was like, yeah, it's a little out of control. There's some guy pulling a pontoon boat with people partying. There's no rules. It's getting a little squirrely. Or, yeah, the party buses don't need to be out at 1 in the morning. Nothing good happens at that time. So I'm pro, you know, to provide just context from where I'm sitting. I'm not trying to pull some grandmaster chess move here. Mike is an absolute rock star in this industry, and as a small fry, if I can have access to some of his resources to continue to grow the business, then that just, you know, makes sense to help things keep growing on my end.
Mr. Winters, would you like to join him?
I think if I may, to simplify this a little bit, it sounds like they followed the process. He's asking to sell 10% of his company. And then I think the question is, does this sell of 10% then come under a change in control? Which there's two ways really that it's defined. So I think that it would behoove you to ask questions around the definition of change in control to see how this is working. But I do think that he has come forward and done what he's supposed to do. And he can do that. He can sell the 10% with your permission. I think you just need to ask questions to decide, is this going to be a change in control or not? And he can answer those, or Mr. Winters can.
Just wanted to give you a chance to add anything if you'd like.
Nick pretty much nailed it. I mean, the reality is when you run a company, you have to pay for people to check people in. You have to pay for where you store your vehicles. You have to pay for all those things. So if two attorneys decide to work in one building, there's synergies in having one receptionist. And that's what we're trying to gather here, is how do we take our independent operations and synergize them together to get efficiencies and marketing and receptions and answering the phones and just stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to run his company. I'm not trying to take it over. I'm trying to help him be more successful and grow both their companies in a synergetic way. Matter of fact, if you guys remember 2-3 years ago when I talked about having the 747 Fessler's building, I said I was building a building that was built and designed for multiple companies like ours to operate out of. That's why it's set up. I would love to have 4 companies running out of that facility because we get the synergies of it. We get the traffic flow. There's things that just work when you have more people doing the same place at the same location.
Yeah, I understand that.
And that's in a nutshell.
Thank you. I mean, based on the current definition of change in control, this seems to be within the confines of the current definitions. I don't know if let me ask TD, has there ever been a case where someone did change control to over 50% and didn't tell you, or you found out about it?
There's one under investigation currently in front of this commission.
Okay.
I can't answer directly that there has been.
Okay. If you sell more of your company, that's more than 50%?
Yes. That's why I'm here. Every step of the way, I want to sleep good at night. I don't want to be like, oh, are they going to find, that's just how I live my life in general. I would rather get told no and then just figure it out than try to be sneaky and then be looking over my shoulder.
No, we're not. I'm not accusing you of anything. I just
well, no, I'm just saying
sure
there's
that
the other
bad
boneheads that
actors
he's
and
referencing.
We need to make sure it's fair for everyone.
They didn't follow the process because they were trying to be slick, and that's not me.
On
And to
behalf
follow
of
up
the
on that,
downtown
I've
residents.
been in front of this commission since 2015. I don't have a single citation. I've never done anything in theory on paper wrong that's been in front of this. I don't want to say perfect, but I've never been in front of this board for anything, so I'm not looking to start now. What we're doing is a very blunt, honest transaction in front of you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Point of order, do we have a motion pending? If not, I'd like to make one.
I don't think we do.
I think maybe we should have done that. Get us back on track here. I'd like to make a motion to approve the request to modify ownership of the Hell on Wheels LLC to add partner Michael Winters.
Any additional discussion?
I just would like to say on behalf of the downtown residents who do sleep at night downtown, I appreciate your statement about rule follower by the book.
Yes, ma'am.
If there's no additional discussion, I'd call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Next on our agenda.
Could I stop you there? Do we want to make a rule change, since we're talking about that now, or would that be appropriate at a different time?
You would have to notice the rule change, and you couldn't do it now. You have to put out a public notice and have a public hearing to have
But-
any kind of rule change.
But I guess what you're asking, is that something we need to follow up on?
Right.
No.
You
My-
can't change the ordinance. Excuse me,
Right.
sir.
And
Go
my
ahead.
standard, usually, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not convinced it's broke for this particular category.
And I think what you're talking about changing, you can make a rule, but this is a part of the ordinance.
Right.
So we couldn't change any part of the ordinance
Unless we put it through council,
through council. That is correct.
which is doable.
Next on our agenda is the discussion of the seated sightseeing vehicle new ordinance to discuss Bill 2025-954, which is an ordinance creating a Metro Code, Chapter 6.78 for seated sightseeing vehicles, which really is to create a new classification for seated sightseeing vehicles and roll them out from generally ETVs. This
Yep.
was deferred from August 2025.
Yes, sir. Councilman Coopin is not here. I think he was going to talk a little bit about it. But just so you know, it did pass. It's a different category now. TD's working very closely with our policy team to draft rules to bring before you so that you can, vote the new rules in. With it being a different category, the hearing will still be at the same time as the ETV hearings in April. Still go together, but it is a separate ordinance now for sightseeing vehicles, and we're working on policies and procedures to bring before you to approve.
And I guess relative to that work, that would include interviewing all the current certificate holders, because we can't take their certificates.
That's true. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Did that I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms.
Just so for timing, we anticipate we'll be seeing that if we're going to be
November.
considering.
Next meeting.
Whoa, y'all are fast.
We're trying.
Could I ask, does the state statute that Mr. Winters referenced also apply to this category?
It does.
It's just an update. It doesn't,
Yeah, do we need to take any
you'll have,
action on
you'll
it?
have something to look
We're
at.
hopeful that maybe next summer, you've got something for us?
November.
November.
Well, we're in no hurry.
No, we are. We got to get it done.
So the update is, it passed council, and you'll bring us more information in November.
In November. TD's working, go ahead.
Yeah, the mayor signed on October 10th, so it's in effect. There's a few date-specific parts of the ordinance that must be done within the next 30, 60, 90 days. Every sightseeing-specific rule under the ET section needs to be repealed. A whole new set of category of rules for seated sightseeing needs to be added. We've got internal processes we need to work out, applications not only for the companies and the drivers, but additionally for the 4 to 6 p.m. permit that is included, that was mentioned earlier in this ordinance. So all of those things, we're working quickly to have it to you by the November 20th meeting.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on, if there's no further discussion on this issue, to the shared urban mobility device spin rider score presentation.
Yes, sir. Spin is here. They would just want to update the commission, and I'll let TD speak to this. He's been working on this with Spin. They want to update you on some new technologies that they have to show you some things that have changed, how they're doing it. I think it's got to do with keeping scooters off the sidewalks. TD, you have anything to follow up?
I had an opportunity to go out yesterday to Cornelia Fort, an area showed to be by Commissioner Rogers down at the end of the table. Got to hop on these new vehicles that they're bringing into town. Jimmy has flown in, and he'd like to talk to you about some of the things they've got going on, and I will give him the floor.
Can you all state your names
Hey everybody. Let's see, am I on? Jimmy Gilman, head of government partnerships for our central region. Have been here in the past, but good to see the commission again. I'll let Jimmy introduce himself.
Yeah, I am. It's just not coming on.
Not coming on. Is that good? Is it on?
Jermaine Knight, being a city operator. Okay.
Just that camera. There it goes.
Yeah. Jermaine.
Spinning for a minute, but it picked him up.
Yeah, Jermaine Knight, city operations manager for Spain.
So we're here, more in an informational context today. We have a little presentation for you all talking about a new feature that we have called our rider score. So TD, if you don't mind going to the next slide here. So it's a new product that we have. It's been an in-app product that actually measures a rider's compliance, performance, and behavior. And it takes different metrics into consideration, such as riding on the sidewalk, parking properly versus improperly, harsh braking, swerving, even double riding. So all of these are metrics that are feeding into a user score. You all know that if you take, for example, a Lyft or an Uber, you get rated after each ride and you actually have a score. It's emulating that same type of idea, but using what are the main pain points that we see come up in a program in terms of user behavior and compliance. So it's, again, you can see some of the metrics on the PowerPoint here of things that are feeding into that. And again, I think, with some of the user behavior concerns that have been voiced in Nashville, we see Nashville as a really strong opportunity to pilot some of this, do some research, and see what different interventions might look like based on, using different interventions and seeing what the impact will be on user scores moving forward. So I'll get into the specifics in a second, but wanted to give you all an overview on it. TD, if you don't mind going to the next slide. So there's really, there are different applications that we can use for this. There's real-time applications of at an end of trip, someone can immediately get a warning that says, for example, your rider score for that previous trip was 3 out of 5 stars. Here's what you could have corrected. And there's a possibility for interventions such as disincentives or warnings moving forward for that user specifically. So there's a real-time element of it that I think is super helpful to pair a user's trip with a warning or a disincentive immediately afterwards. And TD, if you don't mind going to the next slide. And also we can start collecting this data on aggregate. So once a user takes 2, 3, 4, 5 plus trips, we can average their score out for the scores from each of those trips to get a user profile of generally how they're performing. We understand that folks who might be new to a service, need some reminders at first and give them that opportunity to get the score up. But if someone's a bad actor and a bad apple in the system over an extended period of time, and we're seeing that through their rider score, again, we can then use targeted outreach, disincentives, incentives to try to get that score up, or just take folks out of the system as well. So all tools that are in our toolkit. So specifically here, what we would like to do, and again, this is all new technology that we're rolling out now. What we'd like to do and are working with NDOT on is sort of a 50-50 pilot of A/B testing here, where we have a treatment group that's getting targeted reminders and warnings if their score is going below 4.0 stars, versus folks who are just tracking the data on, but not necessarily creating the interventions, and seeing what the impact is of these different interventions and what that looks like in terms of a delta on their rider score. One thing that I think is unique, and I know the commission has chatted about in the past, is just the amount of tourists here too. So I think it'll be interesting, and it's part of this that we're proposing and working with NDOT on, is parsing out locals versus tourists and what those rider scores look like too. Again, tourists might be here for less time, but we often do see tourists take 2+ trips when they're here. And there are some interventions that I still think we can put in place, even for folks that are here for a few days that are using the service to get point A to B and B to A back and forth. So TD, if you go to the next slide, just wanted to give you all sort of a proposed timeline of what we're looking at here. We'd love to start getting this up and going ASAP, to start officially collecting some of this data, and then starting with user interventions, again, in that AB target group that's split 50-50, starting in about mid-November, and then come back to this forum. I believe January 15th is the January session as currently scheduled to provide an update. I think we had initially contemplated like the pilot running through that amount of time. After speaking with NDOT, I think 6 months might be a good amount of time for us to roll out the pilot and really get some robust data, but be here to present to the commission on some updates about 3 months down the road. And just want to give just one more slide, and I think we'll stop at this one. Just some updates to the commission on our device types as well. You can see we brought some props for show and tell for you all. So we recently converted about half of our fleet to this new scooter model. Super excited, brand new. Nashville's among the first cities to receive them. Things I like to point out is the battery is now in the baseboard of the device, just for safety reasons, and a larger front suspension. So again, safety focus to make sure that if folks are hitting any sort of terrain, it's a safer ride on-street vehicle. And we're super excited. This is our new e-bike mode here. This is our commuter e-bike. You can see it's got a lower center of gravity. It's lighter weight, a lower step through. We see it as a more accessible device for folks. I think the commission has seen other similar devices that might have come in. We're really excited that this is an e-bike in form, but it also has a throttle on it and sort of sits somewhere between a seated scooter and an e-bike. But again, something that we think will expand demographics. So this is just recently getting rolled out, and we're excited to be able to bring some to Nashville moving forward. And TD, I know I had a couple other slides. I think I'll stop at this one. Don't want to overload on info, but happy to answer any questions and excited to hear any feedback.
Yeah, I guess I was curious, is the pilot because you're requesting more vehicles, or this is just information you want to share with us about your current fleet and technology, particularly as we head into any changes in the fleet?
The latter. Yep, not requesting anything at the moment. And I think it's beneficial for both of us. We realize, moving forward as a company, like things that involve sidewalk riding, parking improperly, these are concerns that continue to come up, right? And we don't want to be blind to that. We want to make sure that we're doing something, in collaboration with our partnership with NDOT to make sure that we're ourselves acting as a good company and good actor. So the latter of those scenarios.
Relative to the sidewalk riding, can you talk a little bit about your technology?
Mm-hmm. So what we use right now is telemetry data, so sensing the tilt, sway, and vibrations of what the road looks like versus what the sidewalk looks like on the device. So it actually can sense at scale all of the devices currently, whether they're on sidewalk or street. The accuracy of that is, again, probably in like the 90 to 95% range. So right now we're using it for that data collection and then warnings and disincentives to users. I think there may be an application moving forward for other tech as it continues to get better and the machine learning develops better models, but that's currently what we're using it for.
And that can be like a vision camera or something like that, or probably a vision camera at this
Correct.
point.
Which is actually the next iteration that we'll have on this device as well. So you're one step ahead of me.
Would it also pick up riding the wrong way on a one-way street, for example, through GPS or any other data?
It can. That's something that would be developed more with the camera-based solution, which again is the phase 2 that we'll have on this device as well. Mm-hmm. That could use machine learning, for example, to, if you're going the wrong way on a one-way bike lane, could pick that up for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought we had been told in the past that we could not track sidewalk usage for scooters. So my question, you say it's based off of topography or the height, and it's sad to say, but our sidewalks aren't consistent in Nashville. So I'm wondering how that's going to work. And then how are you going to tell that they're parked correctly? Because I can tell you on Church Street, there's very poor compliance. And in fact, a lot of times in the morning, they will be parked within a few feet of the corral. Not just your company, but I'm just talking in general. So how are you going to know whether they have been parked correctly?
Yeah, it's a great question. So on the sidewalk riding side of things, so we can track that data at scale on our devices that are currently deployed out there. We'd be happy to share more of that too, of what that looks like and where we're seeing the hot spots for sidewalk riding. As I mentioned, it's in that like just being blunt, 90 to 95%-ish accuracy level. So it's better used in terms of data, reporting on that, and then user disincentives over a time frame. But it's something that we can certainly share from a data standpoint too. And again, we'll have more vision-based solutions moving forward, and something that will continue to increase that accuracy as we move forward. Second, so in terms of parking, there are a couple of different interventions and solutions. What this score uses, the rider score uses, is AI photo review. So it uses machine learning to understand when a user takes a picture at the end of their trip, if a device is parked either at a corral, bike rack, or in the furniture zone. Furnishing zone is what we call it. So where the sidewalk meets the curb, out of the right-of-way. We can tailor it to only indicate proper parking at corrals if that's what's dictated moving forward. But it uses AI as well based on the photo that a user takes at the end of their trip. So when a user finishes a trip, they have to take a picture of where they parked, and it feeds into the score. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry, there was one term you used. Can you turn
Your
your mic on?
mic's on. Yeah.
The term you use, did you say furniture? I'm sorry, what?
Furniture zone.
Yes.
We use it as a term basically where the sidewalk meets the curb. So think of where a tree might be, a bench might be, so that it's out of pedestrian right-of-way.
From a Metro Nashville perspective and planning department and approvals, furniture zone's the first 4 feet against the face of a building. Then you've got the clear area for sidewalk, and then it's the landscape zone that's at the edge of the curb. The landscape zone is where all these scooters currently and bikes have parking corrals if they're not in a travel lane. And there's other places that NDOT has elected to put them in a lane of travel for a car.
Apologies to flip the nomenclature on those, but the landscape zone is what I'm referring to.
I've got a few questions. Thank you for being here, first of all. So you said these are currently in Nashville, the bikes?
Not yet, but plans to very soon. These are among our first models that we have out at the moment. But,
gotcha. And are you going to be swapping those out for scooters?
So these would, and TD, feel free to correct me, but qualify as e-bikes as part of the program, as defined with pedals. So would be part of the e-bike fleet rather than the scooter fleet.
Gotcha. And you'll be requesting more?
I think at first we'll just start by piloting some of these, and then in terms of fleet increases moving forward, maybe something that we seek. But frankly, we're just excited to get some of these into the program.
Can you talk a little bit how Safe Start works?
Can you say that again?
Safe Start, I saw it up there as a preventing drunk scootering.
Oh yeah, so we have a couple of different tests. So one is more of an affirmation where you write in a specific phrase to indicate that you are sober and able to use the device. We also do have a reaction-based test that we can use. The test reaction time, it gives folks different prompts and has little spheres pop up that folks need to hit in a certain amount of time. So I think both are, say it again.
They're touching them with their finger, not with the scooter or the
Correct.
bike.
On screen of the phone rather than on the dashboard of the device. Yep. So those are two things that we have available that can feed into the score. Right now we have sort of the first intervention, the affirmation. but it's something that, yeah, is an option for us moving forward.
Thank you. And you said that you would be able to either have some sort of consequence or shut off a user if they're not following the rules for an extended period of time. Can you tell us what that looks like? Because it seems to me that someone could take a scooter out, they're visiting Nashville for the weekend, not follow the rules 3 times, and whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I guess, one point is just this is new technology for us, and we're hoping to get this pilot and research up and going. So the first step will be when someone has taken at least 2 trips, starting to give them targeted warnings. And again, in that 50-50 profile where 50% of folks will get that, 50% won't, and we're measuring the difference. Once we get some of that data on different interventions of warnings, and I think we'll put some disincentives in there as well as we move forward with the pilot, that'll be our approach. And then there are 2 ways, as we move forward, if someone has an extremely low score on a singular ride, let's say they get 1 star, right? They've broken the rules on everything. We can either impose, a warning or remove that person from the service, suspend their account temporarily. Those are things that are tools in our toolkit. So things that are on our minds, but first we'll be doing targeted warnings to gather the data on that as part of this first pilot.
So you're not sure what an extended period of time means in this case right now?
I defined it in the pilot as 2+ rides.
Okay.
So multiple, recognizing that from a tourism standpoint that, folks may only be taking 2 or 3 rides, to your point.
Yeah.
But that's how I define it in terms of this research.
And as for the trial period, I know you can't do anything about where we are in the year right now, but obviously I would think that November 15th to January 15th is sort of your low season, right?
Yeah, things start to slow down. And that was part of our conversation with folks at NDOT was maybe we make this 6 months so that we move into the springtime a little bit.
Yep.
And get some of the higher ridership trends too, just because things do slow down around the holidays. I think we'd still love to come back to this forum and give you all an update in, I propose January, maybe it's February, sort of halfway through this, but to extend the time out on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question. How many people are allowed on one of those scooters?
Just one user per device.
And how do you measure if there's 2? Because I've seen 3.
So we do have
On
double
one scooter.
riding tech that feeds into this rider score as well. It measures what a user's general acceleration profile looks like. So if there are 2 folks on it, that would obviously be different. It's a different weight, it's a different acceleration. So that's one thing that feeds into that component of it. Another is the amount of tilt and sway. So generally, if there are 2 folks on a device, we'll see more tilt and sway as part of it. So that's another component that feeds into it. Again, it's fairly accurate in terms of detecting that on aggregate. We're hesitant to cut off a trip in case there's a false positive, but it's something that feeds into this score.
I think that's a pretty cool technology for people who use scooters all the time. In my business, which is hotel business, I've seen some vacations ruined because of scooters, because people get a couple of drinks and hey, sounds like a good idea. 2 in a scooter, and then they come back to our hotels, and of course we have to call an ambulance and all that. So it works I think it works well, what you're explaining, for people who use it all the time, not for first timers, which is, I've seen that every day.
Yeah. And frankly, we want to move more towards this being a commuter solution, this being a last mile connection with transit. I think there's other things in the works that we have as well. If someone's here and visiting and is using this instead of a car trip, we see that as a good thing from less congestion. But we also just want to make sure that folks, know how to use the devices. And maybe it's even after 1 trip, let's say they ride on the sidewalk, they don't park properly moving forward. Again, we can send that real-time intervention of a message afterwards, first with an educational warning saying, hey, we measured as part of your rider score, you missed these 2 metrics. If you take another ride today or tomorrow, here's how to use the service and some educational materials. So totally agree with you.
I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad to see this because I see it every day. Riders go the wrong way. They don't respect pretty much any rules, run red lights. I live and work in the downtown area. every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like occasionally. Pretty much by nature, you see
Yeah.
that happening all the time. So this could be a good thing.
And I think, I remember tuning into a session previously where y'all had chatted about like credit card data and seeing if we could parse out between locals and tourists is something that we can do. So we're happy to report back on that as part of this pilot too, and to show what the different score profiles look like for a tourist versus a local, to see if there's more targeted things we can do for different batches of users based on credit card data too. So something that's on our mind for sure. Yeah.
Does that have the warning about not writing on the sidewalk painted on it?
It should. This is a new model for us. It should on the sticker of it. Yep, on the stem down here. Thanks for confirming. Always good to double check for us too.
I just want to add, thank you all. These are things that would be great and real improvements for the industry. So thank you for being thoughtful about it and trying to figure out ways to help some of the issues.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
And in terms of data, we'll take all the data you're willing to give us. That helps us make fair decisions. So whatever you're willing to give us during the trial period, and if you're able to say, here's what tourists' rider scores look like versus locals, I'd appreciate seeing that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, would love to be here maybe again in January in a few months, but in the interim, TD, maybe we can work on, different data sharing and what that looks like in terms of getting the info out there. Because we want to make sure we're, reporting on everything that can be helpful.
And the data helps us to, when people complain about scooters, it helps us have a response to that saying, hey, this is what we're doing for that. So any numbers, any data that can support that is always helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, we want that data to tell a good narrative about the program and all the folks that are using this in a repeat fashion.
Yep.
And the service that it really provides.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman?
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. We appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Other business. Review of the, pardon me? Mike, thank you. Yes. Other business, review of the proposed 2026 MTLC meeting calendar. Everybody has received a copy of the meeting calendar in their package.
Just want everyone to know, new place, new time.
Yes.
I was wondering why the day shift that from Thursday to Tuesday. Just
Tuesday,
after.
this time and this day was the only time that the Sunny West conference room was available, so we had to take it.
I don't believe we need to read this.
No, sir. It's just informational only.
Anybody have any questions?
I'm sorry.
Same spot. Oh, sorry. We're going to Sunny West.
We're going to Sunny West.
Sunny West is
Wait.
a little bit more of a pain.
Where is Sunny West?
Sunny West is.
It's a Howard office building.
I will add that during certain months of the year when the legislature's in session, a Tuesday is going to be impossible. So there will be 4 months of the
Tuesday?
beginning,
Why would it be impossible?
because the legislature meets and they're in committee meetings all day on
Oh, and you need to
Tuesdays,
be
and
here.
that's my workplace. So
In Howard?
no,
in
At the
outside of
legislature.
here.
I'll be at the Capitol and at the Cordell Hull building. It'd be really difficult to make Tuesdays from January to April for me, but that doesn't mean that should change everything. But if this is proposed and there's some way to
It's really the only place we have to go. We've been asked, using the jury assembly rooms is problematic for the courts, and I understand that, having previously been there. So that was the only place we had, and that's why we made the shift. But we'll work around it.
Did they offer other times or days?
I believe Director Alcon told me that this was the only time that it was available. We'll double check to make sure, but this was the only time and date it was available. but I will double check for sure.
I'm surprised that that room is that.
It's a busy place.
It's busy.
It's a busy
To
room.
your question on parking, the surface lot outside fills frequently because it's where you go get your license renewals, and like that 1 o'clock time is not awesome because people are standing in line.
Might I suggest you take a scooter?
Not in January.
January.
But as of right now, I'll double check for everyone. I'll see if there's anything else, maybe that something's changed or somebody's changed the time. But as of right now, it's the only place we have to go, and it's the only time and date we can do it.
That sounds so sad.
Metro owns a lot of real estate. All right.
Well, we'll I mean, I know they sometimes substitute out at East Precinct. They have a big room.
I see those, yeah.
Sometimes they substitute, but I'm not, I will explore options, I promise.
East Precinct is Traffic and Parking Commission.
That's where they would go when they're doing something to the Sunny West room, like they're updating the sound systems or whatever, they'll go out to East Precinct.
They've been mostly at East Precinct for a couple of years.
Yes, sir. We'll pass along that time and date doesn't look good for a lot of folks, so we'll see what we can do. We'll
appreciate it if it's possible. It just would
Sure.
makes
I-
that time of year a little tough
we'll-
on a Tuesday.
We'll see if we have any other options.
Okay, thank you.
I'll report back in November.
Or via email in advance. Yeah, I mean,
Soon as
you
I-
could poll everybody.
As soon as I find out, I will for sure let everyone know.
And then we've got a next on the agenda, an application review.
Yes, sir. This is the time when you need to read your statement, and then we'll adjourn after the final item.
Where my statement is not, somewhere. I wrote that. Oh, it's page 2 there. There we go. Nope. This is this statement?
Yes, sir.
Yep, notice the broadcast section of this meeting has concluded. The remaining portion of the meeting will not be broadcast because the commission will be considering confidential and protected criminal history background information of driver applicants. Questions should be directed to the Transportation Licensing Commission office at 615-862-6777 if you have any questions. Thank you. And that concludes the broadcast portion.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.